friends, my name is Victoria, and today we are talking about some backlist books that I would like to get to in the year of 2020. There are a bunch of books that aren't on this list, and I debated on whether or not to put them on, but I figured I'm already reading them. There's a Brandon Sanderson Cosmere read-along happening all year, so I'm already planning on reading those for sure. And then I'm also reading the Anne of Green Gables series, and also Lord of the Rings, and rereading Harry Potter. Now that I'm talking about it, how am I going to get through all these books? So these are 20 titles from my own TBR that don't fit into any of those categories, but I would really like to get to. Most of these books I chose because I've had them for a really long time. Some of them like 10 years or more. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the 20 books that I would like to read in 2020. I picked 5 contemporary fiction books that I have been holding on to for a really long time. This one probably the longest of all. This is Empire Falls by Richard Russo. This, from what I understand, is a small town family drama, but I want to say it's lighthearted more than serious. I could be wrong. This follows a lot of people in blue-collar jobs, blue-collared life in America, and I'm hoping that this is a little bit of a different tone than, what was that book? Oh, J.K. Rowling's small town drama, which was entitled, oh no, it's right behind me, I know. Oh, A Casual Vacancy. That one was really depressing and dark. I'm hoping this is a little bit more lighthearted. I've owned this book since high school because I had a friend who was reading it, and I didn't know anything about it, but I was just like, well, my friend's reading it, so I'm gonna buy it. And so I did, and never read it. Next up, I have Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. I probably butchered that name. This one follows an intersex character and her Greek family, and I believe it's a bit of a following her Greek lineage too. Apparently part family drama and has really complex themes, and I recently saw Alex from Alex Black, her channel. I saw her review this recently, and so it reminded me that I should get to this. It's been sitting on my shelf for far too long. Next up, I have The 10th Circle by Jodi Picoult, and another one that I think I've had since high school. I want to say actually I got Middlesex and this one kind of at the same time, or I bought them at the same time. At one point in my life, I read several Jodi Picoult books, and I was into her as an author. However, I haven't read her in a really long time. I don't know where I would stand now. And this one has really mixed reviews, just seeing on Goodreads. This one follows a young lady who is raped by her boyfriend, and the court drama that ensues. There's always like a court drama in Jodi's books. It'll be interesting to see how I like her writing, because I've seen some kind of mixed reviews on her writing, and it's been so long, and I wasn't really that much of a reader when I read her books, and so it'll be interesting to see it with a little bit more of a critical eye. The next book I have to talk about is one that's only a couple years old. I got this book for Christmas a couple years ago. My husband gave it to me for Christmas, and that book is The Essex Serpent. This has just the most beautiful cover you could ever ask for. My lighting is really not very good right now. I don't know why, but it isn't. But The Essex Serpent is just a gorgeous book on the outside, and I'm hoping it's gorgeous on the inside. It seems like it has pretty good reviews, and this is a sort of gothic tale surrounding, I think, Loch Ness Monster? I could be totally wrong about that. It's set in London. I think there's a murder mystery involved in this one. I have very little knowledge of the synopsis of this book, as you can tell from me trying to describe it. And I'm just looking for a good, maybe gothic mystery tale, maybe a good book for the winter time. Maybe I should pick this up soon. The next book was also given to me at Christmas time by my husband in the same gift, and that was The Muse by Jessie Burton. This book, for some reason in my mind, it feels really similar to The Essex Serpent because it's set in London. And this book also revolves around a murder mystery, and there is, I guess, a painting involved as well. There's art at the center of this book, and also the cover is gorgeous. just like the Essex Serpent. I don't know why I have these two books like lumped together in my mind, but I'm hoping that this really works for me. It sounds really good. I love books that involve art and art history and paintings. That just sounds great. Maybe another good winter read. Next up, I have a few suspense, thriller, horror genre, and this is not a genre that I usually gravitate towards, but I have kind of slowly been collecting some of those titles. And so the first one that I would really like to get to, maybe I'll save this for Halloween though. This is The Shining by Stephen King. I recently saw Dr. Sleep, and I've been a fan of the Shining movie for a long time. I think it's an amazing film. I saw Dr. Sleep back in December, and so it got me thinking about The Shining again, and just going, oh man, I really want to read that book that's been sitting on my shelf. So really hoping to get to Stephen King. I've only ever read one other Stephen King book, and that was The Tommyknockers, maybe 3 years ago. And then I have two domestic thrillers that I would like to get to. I have Gone Girl and The Girl on the Train. Again, obviously similarities in these ones. I may even do a double book review video, maybe comparing them. I don't know. I have to read them first and see if that will work. But The Girl on the Train is a bit tropey from what I understand now in the thriller genre. However, being a thriller genre novice myself, I wouldn't be able to identify the tropes. So I've heard different things, but I have heard a lot about Paula Hawkins as a good thriller writer. And then of course Gone Girl is, I feel like everyone's read this book except me. So I gotta read this one too. These are definitely the two thrillers I would like to prioritize in 2020. I'm already going to be reading a lot of fantasy because I'm going to be reading the Cosmere books, or at least a lot of them this year. However, I needed to at least have a fantasy category on this list somehow, so I would like to get to the Grisha trilogy and also Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, which I have owned for a couple years now and not gotten to. I've been a little bit hesitant about these, to be honest, because they have really all over the place reviews. I feel like a lot of people on BookTube really talk poorly about these books. They sound fun to me, but I'm a little bit worried. I'm really just reading these so that I can read these because these have very wide praise. However, if these aren't going well, I might just skip them and go to this, although that may not be a good thing to do, but oh well. So those are the only fantasy books that I have on this list. But I will be reading plenty of fantasy this year, trust me. Next up, I have some classics that I have added to this list. The first classic would be technically a reread for me. However, I did the audiobook of this classic, and I can't say that I retained very much. Pride and Prejudice. Everything I know about Pride and Prejudice is really from the movies that I've seen, which I'm very in love with all the adaptations, pretty much, that I've ever seen of Pride and Prejudice. Love the story. Tried the book on audio. Maybe that was a bad choice. Probably was a bad choice. So we need to read a hard copy of this because I did not enjoy my audiobook experience, and I just really need to give this another go because it's already a story that I love. So why wouldn't I love the book as well? The next classic I have to talk about may or may not be an actual classic, but ooh, a bunch of books just fell. And that is The Giver by Lois Lowry. This actually, I think is a series, but I don't have the other books of the series, so we'll just settle for this one this year. But this is a young adult, middle grade? No, I think more young adult contemporary novel. It's a little bit dystopian in nature, and it's one of those books that everyone read in school except for me for some reason, and I always felt like I was missing out because I heard this was actually really good. Next up, I have Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut, which again, I'm not sure is in the classics category. That's such a hard thing to tell, isn't it? You ever have a book that you're just not sure it's an actual labeled classic? And who decides that anyways? That's a conversation for another day. But Player Piano is, I believe, Kurt Vonnegut's first novel. Oh, it has a little piece of fuzz on it. It's his first novel, and it is about a world in which computers and robots, at least computers, run the world, which sounds like it's a book ahead of its time because now we're practically living in a time where computers are running the world. And so I wonder what Kurt Vonnegut would think about that. I have read Slaughterhouse-Five, so I am familiar with his style of writing, and I know what I'm getting myself into. I feel like that's sometimes half the battle with classics, is knowing what you're getting yourself into. If you're not prepared for a bit of a difficult writing style, you might not have a good time. However, I know Kurt Vonnegut a little bit, and so I will hopefully get something out of this book, and will hopefully like it. And the last classic I have to talk about is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I have also started this on audiobook in the past, and then the audiobook didn't work for me, and I ended up abandoning it. But I feel like this is a book I'm going to love. I loved the movies when I was a kid. I would watch the movie all the time. I can't remember even like what edition of movie or what adaptation of movie that was, but I remember watching a movie of The Secret Garden all the time. I also remember an animated version of The Secret Garden. So how have I not read The Secret Garden? Hopefully I love it. I think I will. And it's this really cute you can't see. Really cute Barnes & Noble edition. Man, my lighting is just terrible. I should just refilm this whole video. Oh well, I'm not gonna do that. So The Secret Garden is the final classic that I will talk about today. And then I will end this video talking about 3 nonfiction books that I would like to read. I hope to read more than 3 nonfiction, but these were just the ones that stuck out to me. And I had to add a little nonfiction on this list. One of them is this book, Resisting Happiness. And this was a gift, which is another reason why I want to read it, because someone gave it to me. And I always feel bad when people give me books and then I hang on to them forever, because then if they ask me if I liked that book, what am I going to say? I haven't read it yet? Like 2 years later? I think maybe I've had this for 1 year actually. But this is a book about not getting in your own way and being happy and learning how to be happy and to learn how to do good things for yourself and to fight that resistance. For example, like I'm assuming this is an example, but doing good things for yourself might be going to the gym, and of course most people resist that at one point in their life, myself included. Every time I think about the gym, really. I believe this has a Catholic slant to it because my friend who gave it to me is Catholic, and I would really be interested to read it with that slant actually, because I'm not Catholic myself. I am Christian, but I would be really interested to see what a Catholic person has to say about happiness and being happy. I mean, I really don't know what to think about this book. I'm just gonna have to try it. The next book I will talk about is The Case for Faith by Leigh Strobel. I have read his other books. There's like a trilogy that kind of all go together. I've read The Case for the Creator. I've read, what's the other one? Oh my gosh, the famous one, Case for Christ. And The Case for Faith, I'm not sure how it's different from the other ones. But he talks about 8 heart barriers to faith. So I have a feeling this is a lot about like doubting your faith and having questions about your faith. So I have enjoyed his other books, so hopefully I will enjoy this as well. And finally, last book on our list, we have The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. This was a gift from my mom, gosh, maybe 4 years ago. Wow! Yikes, I need to read this. Corrie ten Boom was part of the Dutch underground who hid Jewish people from the Nazis, and from what I understand, I believe her whole family was killed, except for Corrie ten Boom. I think her family was killed by the Nazis. And so this is her story. I've just heard that this is amazing. My mom doesn't read a lot, but if she likes a book, I think it would be an impactful one, because she doesn't really read very much unless it's a story she's really interested in. And so I have really high expectations of this one. I have a feeling this might end up on maybe one of my favorites lists at the end of the year. Those are the 20 backlist books that I would like to attempt to get to this year. My year is becoming a little bit overwhelming with all the goals that I'm setting for myself. But we'll see at the end of the year if I actually made it or if I just fail miserably. Let me know down below, what are some books that you are planning on reading in 2020, maybe some backlist books or new releases. I'd love to know. Again, my name is Victoria. Keep reading great books. Thank you for watching my video today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.